Hello, friends. Welcome back to the channel. I am with you ministries where the Lord Jesus Christ of Nazareth is always with us. He will never leave us nor forsake us. And we praise his holy name. So thank you for coming back and joining me here. I'm going to make an attempt at a Watchman warning. Um, and, as much as I would like to think that this is not necessary, it seems to me that it is necessary. It seems clear to me that it's very necessary. And so, by the leading of the Holy Spirit, I pray I'm going to do my best to present this to you in a cohesive and, um, clear, let me get there here, um, clear manner. So here we go. We're going to share the screen. And okay. So I'm going to be showing you a series of video clips. These are for educational purposes. These are, these are fair use. Um, I think that's what it's called, fair use laws that I can share news stories with you. And so that's what I'm doing here. And the first one that I want to share with you is this. And if you would just kind of look at the title on the screen and, make note of it. I won't be playing the whole video or anything. But you can look at it afterwards.
My friends, welcome. 800 million people now need to use biometric forms of identification just to eat. In fact, the technocrats are going whole hog right now on digital ID, with the UK today approving their Brit card digital ID without having any idea how much it's going to cost, because they don't care. It's not about that. It's about pushing forward the agenda to get a digital ID into your hands. The EU, as well, passed the EIDAS 2 set of regulations, which is going to mandate that all of their member nations equip some 400 million citizens with digital wallets by this year, being pushed out at a rapid clip right now. Those digital wallets are cited to be used for e-government services, healthcare, banking, financial services, education, employment, travel, mobility, even real estate. So when I read that India is now making biometric forms of identification mandatory for people to receive their rations, it really caught my eye. Of course, we've already seen just 6 months ago, Vietnam wiped 86 million bank accounts for anyone that didn't have up-to-date biometric identification on hand for those accounts. So that's a couple ways you can go about this when you want to force the agenda through. You can either take away people's money until they give you their fingerprints or their iris scan or their face scan or whatever it is you're after. Or for the people that don't have money, you just take away their food. And that's what this is. Here from SwosticCollege.com. Biometric authentication gets stricter. Quote, collection of food grains now requires advanced biometric authentication at fair price shops. Fingerprint or iris scanning linked to central databases ensures that only genuine beneficiaries receive supplies. In fact, up here we also read that now it is going to be the most critical update in 2026 is the compulsory requirement for every member listed on a ration card. If even one family member remains incomplete, the entire household's benefits could be temporarily paused. So you can
Okay, so basically, this is his sharing with us that, biometric IDs digital IDs are already required for food rations in some areas. So he cited India, and I don't know what this college is. I did not take the time to check that, but I just want to reference Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. It says, and he causes all the small and the great and the rich and the poor and the free man and the men and the slaves to be given a mark on their right hand or on their forehead. And he provides that no one will be able to buy or to sell except the one who has the mark, either the name of the beast or the number of his name. So the reason why, I'm sharing this with you is because we in the United States are so ethnocentric and egocentric that we can't recognize the spirit behind the president, but also that we don't think just because it's not here, we're not even aware that it is in the world. We, as United States citizens, are not the world. We are not, we're quite the exception to the world in terms of our liberties that we used to have, and our excess and riches and just um you know what's we just have carte blanche here, which is just has never been true for many, many, many other regions of the world. So understand that it is already in place. And then I want to go to let's see here. I can get there. It's always a challenge because there's a little menu up at the top. So, speaking of food, we have the Tyson plant, 170-year-old iconic meat company, um, closed its plant. It closed in January of 2026. Um, this wiped out 3,200 jobs in a community of only about 11,000 residents. I believe it was one of the biggest um, processing plants uh, in the nation. I could be wrong there. Well, Tyson itself is America's largest meat processor, has been shuttering facilities across the country at an alarming rate, which makes me want to remind us of all of those fires that broke out after COVID on all of the farms that were just, killing millions of chickens. They also killed chickens because of the bird flu, so we don't even have those numbers in here. This is just due to barn fires. And there were, I don't know what the numbers were, how many there were that were, unexplained, but between 2022 and 2024, we have over 2.5 million farmed animals perished in barn fires. So these are just to throw out a few statistics for reminders of what has been happening to lead up to this convergence in time, this crisis that we're in now, this tribulation that we're in now. So, what was the other? Do I have any other food related? Well, here is another. So now, just so happens at the same time, there's workers on strike at a meat packing plant in Nebraska. Um, Here again, we have there's a smaller herd, millions of dollars expected in losses. Greeley plant has about 6% of the total U.S. beef slaughterhouse capacity. This is where workers are on strike. They can't get, livable wages, or they can't get raises. They have to pay for their own protective gear, things like that. They went on strike. Just again, this convergence of crises happening. And we know, I mean, what the um, prices look like in the grocery stores. So this is only going to worsen, obviously. So um, now we're going to look at this, and I did not freshen up on this. So here's the article about 2 weeks to flatten the curve. This is about how uh, the president said this was going to be a very, very short affair.
My friends, welcome. The energy austerity movement is gaining steam rapidly this week as countries around the world take strikingly similar steps to manage their energy crises and fuel shortages. This does not at all look like a bottom-up situation where sovereign nations are taking steps independently to manage their resources. Rather, it looks like a top-down driven agenda that is being implemented as countries fall in lockstep with the agenda. In other words, what we're seeing right now is 2 weeks to flatten the fuel curve. It looks a lot like the coronavirus response did when all of these countries around the world did the exact same thing at the exact same time in response to the pandemic. So I want to step through some of those things today, particularly noting the digital ID that's now being used in Sri Lanka and that's attempting to roll out in Mexico right now for fuel rationing, because that definitely presages the use of digital IDs for rationing food as well as this crisis carries over into that area.
But make note that Revelation 13 that we just talked about doesn't just say that no one will be able to buy or sell food. No one will be able to buy or sell, period, without the mark. So, so the fuel is just another aspect of this. So again, I encourage you, this is another pretty short video. It's like 12 minutes. It's, worth a watch. But what I also wanted to point out, this 2 weeks to flatten the curve, if you remember, this is the same president who, rolled out warp speed like it was the greatest thing to ever hit the world. So people just forgot this. All these people who were, you know, against that so quickly forget that their, Messiah figure president, was the one who rolled that out and made that so available and actually um, mandatory in some circumstances for the American people. So just reminding, we have to remember history and not bury it or not let our short-term memory just block it out. So let's see. Let's see here where we're going next. Well, so the energy crisis. We've got, interestingly enough, we have a strike happening here at BP Energy Giant. 800 workers were locked out. And this is talking about being unable to come to a deal with British Petroleum. So, the British economy is totally tanked and they've sold out to the world powers. So the United States, of course, is next. But so this is a big headline. This happens to be happening right during war. That's a headline from the 19th. What else do we have? Got those. I think that was it there. Yeah. We had the explosion at Valero, and I included this just because of all of those fires at the farms that were happening all over the place. I forget what year it was heaviest and most prevalent, but you know, coincidence just isn't cutting it. Even though there are, supposed to be back up and running soon, This again is a major, major refinery. This refinery is capable of processing 380 barrels per day. It's like, isn't it convenient if it can't? I'm just not sure, but it just seems way too convenient and coincidental. And so, where I'm going with this is that this really seems to be a grand design. It really, we would be incredibly naive and short-sighted and um almost demented to not be able to remember what has already happened and how much planning has to go into these things. Remember, the first lockdowns were called a pandemic. These things are planned, and so we've got this by Forbes. Airports could close. Now that would just go right along with energy conservation, of course, if that were to happen. And then, of course, we've got, um, I think I took it out. We had the ICE has been put into the airports, which they really don't seem to be replacing the TSA workers who have quit their jobs and called in sick and all of this because they're not getting paid, of course. But ICE, of course, is getting paid. Um, so. This seems very suspicious that now we've got all of these militaristic police in the airports. And this is what I want to impress upon people. We have to stop with the right and the left. We have to stop with the red and the blue. They are all one. They are two sides of the same coin, two wings of the same bird. They, in public, they fight and they insult each other and they act. It's theater, it's political theater. It is a public persona that is intentionally designed to divide the people who have the power. It is to keep us powerless. We have to ask the Lord to take the scales off your eyes and see that they, behind closed doors, let me share a little testimony. Years and years ago, I went through a divorce and I had full custody of my children. And I did my best to co-parent with my ex-husband for some years. The children were fairly young. And then there came a time when their father started becoming abusive toward them. Well, started. It escalated. And I had to go and I had to ask for visits to be pulled back. And I thought at the time about changing my lawyer, and I thought I'm going to interview a couple other lawyers to see, if I'm with the right person. And I went to a lawyer and he invited me in. This was just a consultation and I told him my name and my situation. And then he asked me questions and I really got into it. And at the end, he asked me if so and so was my ex-husband. And I said, well, yes. And he said, he's already retained me. This man knowingly collected all of this information from me, knowing that he was representing my husband. In fact, I think I must have told him his name earlier on. And then later he miraculously remembered, oh, this person's retained me. So, but not only that, but when one of the times we were in the courthouse, this lawyer like spoke in front of citizens, other lawyers, people in the hallway about me. Like he spoke out slanderous things about me in front of a crowd. And I remember seeing the door to where the attorneys, confer with each other, and the door was open, and they're all just sitting around a big table. They are all in it together. It's what we call the good old boys club. And not that there aren't women in it too, because there are, but they are all in it together. They look like, defense attorneys, prosecutors. They look like they're enemies. They're not. They are friends. They golf together. They drink together. They go to Freemason meetings together. They do awful things in secret together. But we think that we are getting represented. We give them all of our money. And as long as we have money, we can stay out of trouble and we can stay out of prison. But if you don't have money or if you don't have the right skin color, then you're screwed. Excuse my language. But this is the system, and that's just in our local government and politics. When you put this on a global scale, it's the same thing. They are all buddies. And even where they don't get along, are, they still have an agenda that does not include the best interests of the masses. So we have to accept this. We have to accept the truth of the situation and stop falling for lies after lies after lies and stop fighting with each other about it and stop arguing about it and stop talking about politics as if it's real. It is not real. It is like watching a soap opera. Even the news, it is like watching a soap opera. They're manipulating emotions, they are watching reactions, they are testing the waters. And hear, when the president starts saying the war is over a week into it, we've already won the war, he's still saying it, and yet thousands are are being sent over there. The 82nd Airborne out of North Carolina, they're paratroopers, they're being sent. Now, why? If the war is won, why are they going? This is a chronic liar and a thief. And people who are Christian are not walking with the Lord if they can't see it. And I'm telling you this out of love because you've got to take a step back. You've got to take a step back and go into prayer and ask the Lord to correct your heart. Because if you cannot see it, there is a huge problem. This this is biblical and it's not biblical. This is what the Lord said would happen. But it's not because it has to happen. It's because the hearts, even of the church, are wrong. They are wrong. When the president says we are so far ahead of schedule, he is not talking about the United States winning a war in Iran. He is talking about the world agenda, the agenda for one government. Everybody was all, the headlines about Kristi Noem being fired. She was promoted. She was promoted to a Western Hemisphere position. See, it happens incrementally. But right now, because, as Joshua Giles said, the Watchmen have left their posts and left vulnerabilities, um, their agenda is accelerating rapidly right now. We see that the biometric scanning to buy and sell is already in place, for millions of people already. And we see we're on the road to a second shutdown, lockdown. And we knew it was going to be environmental, but we didn't know that this president of the Christian nationalist extremists was going to start a war in order to make it happen because he was demanding the Peace Prize and it wasn't given to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is such a dangerous, dangerous man. And there are still so-called professing Christians supporting him. This makes your faith look bad, your religion look bad, your God look bad, the church look bad. It's terrible. So all of the so-called professing Christians who are behind this man still claiming to be behind him and his policies and his procedures and the way that he is running this nation, you are standing in the way of salvation for thousands upon possibly millions of people who look at this hypocrisy, who look at this narcissism, who look at this extremism and say, how can that be God? How in the world can that be God? But the church has allowed him to claim Jesus. When one look at him, you see there is zero fruit, zero fruit. And then we get this cringy thing here, which I shudder to think what this is. I shudder knowing the situation of children worldwide and what is happening to children worldwide. I absolutely cringe at the thought of what this is.
We're going to send Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff to do direct negotiations with the Iranians.
Yeah, well, we're in negotiations, as it turned out, and now you've seen what I said yesterday was exactly correct. We're in negotiations right now. They're doing it.
So he said they were in negotiations. Iran said they weren't. He said they weren't going to bomb them, but they did. For, I believe this is now a third time. A third time when they were in negotiations, supposedly, but they went ahead and bombed the crap out of them anyways.
Along with Marco, JD, we have a number of people doing it. And the other side, I can tell you, they'd like to make a deal.
What makes you trust them?
I don't trust anybody. I don't trust you. Why do you say what makes you trust? Do you think I trust them? I don't trust them.
Why they're talking to them?
Because they're going to make a deal. They're going to make a deal. They did something yesterday that was amazing, actually. They gave us a present, and the present arrived today.
A present.
It was a very big present worth a tremendous amount of money. And I'm not going to tell you what that present is, but it was a very significant prize.
Prize.
They gave it to us, and they said they were going to give it. So that meant one thing to me: we're dealing with the right people.
So who are they? Who are they? If it's not the Iranian leadership, who are they talking to? Is it the ones they plan to put in place? Who are the phantom people giving the prize of immense price that can't be told to the American people? And why? Why can't the American people know? I mean, I don't think it would matter if Qatar can give him $1 billion plane or whatever it was. I guess the American people just really don't care when it comes right down to it. And I know that a lot of people are just trying, they just want to live their lives. and be left alone to live their lives. And I can't blame people for that. But that's not the world we live in. The world that we, we're taught to try to attain, the lives we were taught to try to attain, are a lie. They're a lie in this world. And so, um, yes, I just thought that was super, super cringy. Let's see if this is something. Okay, Texas is getting ready for a big emergency test. We are always a little concerned when we hear that.
This is what's
That's
happening right
going
here.
to be on April 2nd, if you want to take a look at that. Um, and but this, I think, is where we need to wrap up. Well, I did want to show you one thing here. So again, the US did decide to strike even when they said they weren't going to. And I just wanted to show you the timestamp on this of 9/11, because Trump's numbers are 9/11, 45 and 47 are 9/11. Trump is from New York. Just noting this and not really trying to say too much about it. But I did want to note also in conjunction with that that the crash at LaGuardia Airport occurred at 11:45. 45 being 9 is 11:9, which is 9/11 backwards. So they do speak in these things. These timestamps are oftentimes they have hidden meanings to them. In fact, I actually have a news clip of the president talking about warp speed with a 9/11 timestamp in it. So, they know what they're doing, and they're very, very sick people who do use numbers and dates to calculate um, the horrors and atrocities that they commit, from very small scale, sacrifices of celebrity family members and things like that, up to, you know, uh, kidnapping presidents of sovereign nations, up to, starting wars that have absolutely no reason to be fought. So we are here. We have come to a convergence, and we have arrived at the place that we've all been anticipating with dread. Many think that they won't have to live through this, but many will be living through this. And so that is why I'm here warning in a very direct and clear way.
Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Louis, and God bless to every single one of you. Today is March 25th, 2026, and welcome to the Real GS News Channel. Guys, we have an
Look at the timestamp.
urgent information coming out. And
Look at
boy,
this.
This is the White House, by the way. It's a humanoid robot. And boy, oh boy, man. Oh, pay attention, sleeping giant. Pay very close attention. Ooh. Just like the book of Revelation. Oh, man. This is biblical. This is biblical. I got to play that one more time. I have to play this one more time. This is biblical. This is biblical. First time humanoid robot in the White House. And this ain't no Tyson stuff vacuum. This is a basically a human form body robot. Man. Oh man. This is the tip.
I encourage you to subscribe to Lewis's channel.
Are you seeing this thing right now? Oh.
I do not agree with all of Lewis's beliefs, but I think he tries to be as fair as he can. But he does still,
Book
you know,
release.
buy into a little bit of the
How
politics.
Robot accompanies the first lady.
He does a nice job. You clickbait.
Empowering the young one.
Yeah, look at this. Empowering children with educational technology. Listen.
First Lady raises the idea of humanoid robots being used as teachers for your young ones. You know what this reminds me of?
Yeah.
Boom. All right, guys, before I start, for those of you that want to send us letters or prayer requests, you can send it to me, Luis Santiago, or my wife, Jessica Santiago, at 3432
I
US
just wanted you to be able to see that.
Dublin.
So there you have it. I believe that's all that I wanted to show you tonight. I think that's more than enough. I think that the writing is on the wall, and I think that the Lord has been trying to get through to us. And I think that it's time for Christians to get on their knees and get back to sitting at the feet of Jesus to hear exactly what it is that he wants us to do, what position we're, stop all of this crying for the rapture, get on your feet and ask the Lord what he wants you to do for others. That's what it's time to do. We are to be ministering to the people who don't know the Lord. That's what we're to be doing, because this is going to escalate from here unless the church gets its act together and starts acting like the Church of Christ instead of this watered down, divided up, lukewarm group of people who look like a bunch of hypocrites and bigots. And that is the truth. So I hope that somebody can receive it, and I hope that it helps to wake up some people who are not getting the big picture. So I pray that this is helpful and a blessing, and I pray that you take some time to research it yourself and take it in prayer yourself and ask the Lord, because He does not want us camped out on social media. He wants us out in our communities. You know what I do? Because I'm not great with sharing the gospel, I have signs in my car. I have signs on my car windows. I get people who beep. People will yell from the street corners. People will, I mean, it makes a difference. And one day when I prayed to the Lord, it was only like a week or so ago, like, Lord, am I doing enough? You know, does it even matter what I'm doing? That day, he had 3 different people respond to the sign in my car. 3 different people, and all in 3 different ways. So I have people stop and take pictures. I have people stop and ask me about it. It just says Jesus is coming. Are you ready? The big sign. And then I have my 2819 stickers on there. It's a little thing, but it's something I can do without even exerting any effort whatsoever. I have who knows how many seeds that plants for people. And then when they start seeing what's happening in the world, maybe they will, put 2 and 2 together and realize that they should be calling out to God. If there is a God out there, will you please answer me? Right? Isn't that how many people come to Christ? So, anyhow, and that's not all and that's not even, who knows what other assignments he has for us. So, again, I just hope that this serves somebody in a positive way and serves the church also in some kind of unforeseen way. I pray in Jesus' name. God bless you. And thank you for staying till the end of the video. Thank you so much.